what kind of local engagement do they have? Well, one article related to Stanford shows that the answer to that is not that much. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football, back at it again. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football and plenty of college football content, subscribe to this channel right now. Anything related to football we discuss here, pro football, college football, video game football, anything like that, hit that red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. Again, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It's not going to cost you anything to like and subscribe to the video. All it's going to cost you is being up to date on everything EA college football, plenty of college football content, and some pro and Madden content as well. Like I said, anything related to football, click subscribe. You will not be disappointed. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, I saw an article recently that is absolutely shocking. Right now we're talking, and again, there's been murmurs. It's kind of been going away to some degree because of Ohio State. But the Big Ten was talking about adding USC and UCLA. They are doing that. They're also talking about potentially adding in Washington, Oregon, and then even Stanford, and then Cal, to have kind of like a Western wing to the Big Ten. Again, they'd have the 20 teams. They'd have 6 out west, and then the 14 over there in the Midwest and Northeast. So beyond that, you see something there that when teams go through conference realignment and they kind of, conferences judge whether or not they want to add a team or not, one of the big factors is how much are people involved in the community, how much are people involved in the university, what kind of local engagement do they have? Well, one article related to Stanford shows that the answer to that is not that much. Here we are with Desiree.com, and again, this is a Salt Lake City-based newspaper here. It says that Stanford football offering free trial to the BYU game. The Cardinal are trying everything to get better attendance for their final 2 home games against Washington State and BYU and boost 2023 season ticket sales. So Stanford football's attendance has been sparse this year, to say the least, with plenty of seats available in the 50,424-seat Stanford Stadium, with a Cardinal sitting at 3-4 overall at the bottom of the Pac-12 standings with a conference record of 1-4. And again, they were 20 seconds away from beating Oregon State, but a miraculous touchdown there. So, but hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbled, you know what I'm saying? The Cardinals are trying everything to get better attendance for their final 2 home games against Washington State and BYU and boost 2023 season ticket sales. Stanford's Give and Get program offers free tickets to Cardinals against games against Washington State and Stanford if you sign up for 2023 season tickets. However, if you cancel those 2023 season tickets, the first payment is in January 2023, and no deposit is required on sign-up, with no fee after the final 2 games of the 2020 season, making those Washington State and BYU tickets completely free. Decide that next year's plan isn't right for you? No sweat. You can cancel anytime. It's truly a free trial for the 2022 season. If you don't want to go through hassle of signing up for 2023 season tickets only to later cancel, you won't have to pay too much for the BYU game. Seats start at $16 each on StubHub. So Stanford, and this is not necessarily exclusive to Stanford. I've even heard Nick Saban talking about fans leaving at halftime because they're up by a gazillion points. The fact that if you look at Baylor moved from a bigger stadium to a smaller stadium. It's a really, really cool stadium. McLean Stadium is awesome. But the fact that you also see Northwestern is going from a bigger stadium, they're actually talking about a 35,000-seat smaller stadium, about a couple $100 million there, $800 or $900 million. I know that's the cheap stadium there. But they're wanting to get more intimate environments. They want to be a really cool environment for people there. Stanford, I don't think they're necessarily discussing anything right now in terms of their stadium. However, they are like, we got to get some more people involved here. And Stanford suffers from, it's a victim of its own success. Stanford, and the reason why universities nowadays, what they try to do is we are super, super exclusive, and that makes us a cool university. We have 9% acceptance rates. We have 14% acceptance rates, something like that. That's what they kind of pride themselves on. However, with that also means that you're in a situation where you are, a lot of the people in the local community haven't necessarily gone to you. They're not necessarily connected to you and this and that. It almost seems like, well, you might be in Palo Alto, but Stanford's over there and we're over here. I don't know how much they connect to their community just because it is such an exclusive environment to go to Stanford. Not very many graduates are around the area. A lot of graduates move around. And again, that's a big reason why the Big Ten wants to add Stanford, is because having another team in the Bay Area, a lot of Big Ten alum are in the Bay Area, not per se the fact, it's going to be one of those situations where, there was one year that the San Diego Chargers had to use a silent count at home when they were playing the Packers because there were so many Packers fans in their San Diego stadium. So it's It's nuts to think about that because Stanford, man, I mean, they're actually not too far away from the best time in Stanford football history. But as of late, man, it's just kind of fallen off a little bit. You look at the Stanford Cardinal football history, and you see the fact that they do have a national championship in 1926. They've got 14 conference championships. But you come down here, this little area right here is definitely where they're at. 2009 until about 2018. That was kind of like the golden age of Stanford football. You see the fact here. Let me check this out. We've got 12 and 1, 11 and 2, 12 and 2, 11 and 3, 8 and 5, 12 and 2, 10 and 3, 9 and 5, 9 and 4. They've done a really, really good job within there. Since 2019, they go 4 and 8. 2020, they go 4 and 2. So to give credit where credit's due, it's a shortened season, but they're winning 2/3 of their games. That's like an 8 and 4 record that you're on your way for. And then the last 2 years, 3 and 9 and 3 and 4. Now, again, think about this here. So Jim Harbaugh built this program up. He was only there for 4 years. So David Shaw, you would assume that by year 2 or 3, it would have kind of teetered off. But he actually did a pretty good job extending this on here. And you see the fact that if you look at 247 Sports and the recruiting rankings from about 2009 up until now, they've done a pretty good job of being anywhere from not necessarily a top 10 team, but like 10 to 25, that range. They've been in there a lot those times. Sometimes they'll be 40. I saw one time they're like 48, but it's not too irregular to see them like 29, 13, 14, 28, something like that. So they do a pretty good job of recruiting. But man, I mean, you look at this here, and they were not too far away from the best time in Stanford football. However, 3 and 4 right now. They're a couple seconds away from 4 and 3. I understand that, but man, it just isn't where it needs to be right now, or where it could be. And the fact that they aren't winning, in addition to the fact that it's hard to connect Stanford's local community, Palo Alto's local community, to Stanford's university, kind of creates the situation where people just don't have to show up at the games. It's kind of one of those scenarios where, the service academies kind of have their own thing because people like Army just because I was in the Army. There are plenty of people out there. Same with the Air Force, same with Navy, something like that. But like a really, really unique university, like a really, really exclusive university to get into in a big city is kind of hard to attract people to. Again, Rice. Very, very difficult with that way. You see USC. USC is a private school in LA. However, USC's always kind of had cool. You see Snoop Dogg on the sidelines. You see Will Ferrell, things like that. You also see Miami. Miami did a really good job reaching out to the local players. And trust me now, Miami almost has 2 different scenarios where they have, they want to be the Stanford of the Southwest or the Southeast. But they also like, man, if we connect with these local players, man, there's a lot of talent out here. We can get good really, really quickly here. So they've kind of been able to overcome that. Rice, however, is one of those that has it. Rice, super hard university to get into, a really, really world-class university in, the Houston area. And it's just tough to kind of command first of all, it's a big city. There's a lot of people who are transient. The fact that they're not very good, and the fact that it's a really, really unique university to get into, it's hard to do that. Same thing with Vanderbilt out there in Nashville. It's hard to find a Vanderbilt alum just because it's such a really, really strong university. So there's a couple of things that are going against them. However, it always felt like Jim Harbaugh and David Shaw were able to use that to their advantage. First of all, if you show up to a recruiting battle and you're actually talking to somebody who cares about their education, if you say, hey, do you want to graduate from Stanford? It's a pretty easy sell for them. I mean, and that's the reason why, again, Stanford kind of has a hard time necessarily going into rough inner cities with low GPAs, things like that. That's why their outside perimeter speed isn't necessarily there. They do a really good job with tight ends. They do a really good job with offensive linemen, and they do a really good job with really, really smart quarterbacks. So if they can get into that and lean into that a little bit more, it's kind of like with Air Force, Army, and Navy. They can't necessarily recruit all the athletes, so what they do is a particular type of football to win with what they have. Same thing with Stanford. Stanford has never been a throw the ball 500 times 5,000 yards type of a team. However, they've been really smart, pro style, really good offensive linemen, lots of shifts. They outthink you again at Stanford here, and they also out physical you. They don't mess around. They come right at you, and they do that really well. If they can get back into that, I think they're going to be very, very successful going forward. However, right now, I think they're still, if you look at their record right now, they only really win one way, and I'm not even sure I know what that way is. So you come over here and check out their record. Again, they played Colgate week 1. They come out and they played USC week 2, lost 48-128. And then we see 40-22 loss to Washington, 45-27 loss to Oregon, 28-27 loss to Oregon State. And again, that game right there, they were up 27-21 or excuse me, 27-22 with like 20 seconds left, something like that. They beat Notre Dame and they beat Arizona State 16-14, 15-14. Like I said, if they're able to hold people under 20 points, they've got a chance in the game. But beyond that, they can't get into an up and down game. I think they're going to have a really, really hard time against UCLA. Utah is a team that they kind of play the same game. However, they're just a more efficient and they're a more athletic team on the perimeters. BYU's kind of struggling. Cal kind of struggles. And Washington State's doing okay this year, I suppose. So I don't know if they're going to get to the 6-win mark right now, but they need to get back to what Stanford football is. Like I said, tight ends. Again, if you check out the 247 rankings right now, they're doing a really good job of recruiting offensive linemen. But man, they need to get back to doing what they do well, going downhill, being smart, being intelligent, shifts, this and that, tight ends. That's where they're going to be most successful going forward. Man, I hope Stanford can turn around the ship just because, I think it's cool when Stanford's up. I know it's one of those things where, it's a really, really good university. And again, I think it adds a certain element out there. And it adds a different style of football. Pac-12 after dark. It's always crazy. There's high-flying offenses, good quarterbacks to snap up. But then you see Stanford. Stanford's like, no. 2 tight ends and a running back. We're going to run the ball. We're going to be smart. We're going to play defense. We're going to be physical. We're going to have multiple sets on defense. We're going to have lots of tight ends, lots of shifts. We're going to have really smart quarterbacks that put the ball and know how to read defenses. If they can get back to really, really pushing that, I really like their chances going forward. I even like them as a Big Ten. I think they fit in perfect in the Big Ten. Now, the one thing about them that would be crazy if they joined the Big Ten is that I do believe, and based on the article you just saw, they would have issues with home games because home games would kind of be away games, you know what I'm saying? But man, I mean, I really hope Stanford turns it around right now, but we'll see, man. Do you guys think they're going to turn around? Again, get in the comments right now. Let me know. What do you guys think of Stanford? Do you think that it's past? Do you think David Shaw's lost it? Do you think they're able to turn around? Get in the comments right now and let me know. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys later. I am out.